Hi, I'm Bonnie Barker with watch.bonniebaycrochet.com, and today I want to teach you how to make the Easy Beginners corner to corner baby blanket. This is a very easy pattern and very achievable for absolute beginners. So before we begin, I just wanted to ask you to please hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already, because I have a lot of great content coming to my channel. And hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed the project, because that will really bless me and really benefit my channel quite a bit. All right, well, let's go ahead and get started. For this project, I'm going to be using 2 of the Caron latte cakes. Here's the information on this. This is a number 5 weight yarn. It has 530 yards in each, so I'm going to be using approximately 1,060 yards, or certainly not more than that. And this is an acrylic nylon blend. The color that I'll be using is called Velvet Teal, should you be interested in that. Also, I'm recommending that you have a size K or 10.5 or 6.50 millimeter crochet hook. As always, I'm recommending that you have a yarn needle and a pair of sharp scissors handy. Let's go ahead and begin. Okay, now we're ready to begin. We're going to start with a slip knot, and we're going to chain 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now starting in the 4th chain from the hook, 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to work a double crochet in that chain. And I'm just working in one of the V's on the side of the chain, and then 3. So we worked 1 double crochet in each of those 3 chains. Now we're going to chain 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we're going to do that again. We're going to skip 1, 2, 3 chains, and in that 4th chain, and we're going to do this at the beginning of each row. We're going to work 1 double crochet in the remaining 3 chains. Okay, now this is where it gets a little bit tricky, but just watch what I do carefully. We're going to flip this up just like that. You're going to have the front side of the stitch facing here, and you're going to see the back side of the stitch facing right there. And in this space where the chain 3 is, we're going to work a slip stitch. I'm going to do that again because some of you may not be familiar with the slip stitch. Stick the hook in, pull the yarn through, pull the yarn through, and then now we're going to chain only 3. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to work 3 double crochets in this chain 3 space. 1, 2, 3, and that actually ends row 2. So row 1 just had the 1 cluster, 3 double crochets and the chain cluster, and then the second row has 2 stitches or 2 clusters. The third is going to have, you guessed it, 3. We're going to chain 6 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and just like before, in the 4th chain from the hook, double crochet in that 4th, and then in the 5th, and then in the 6th stitch, just like that. And now we're going to flip this up. So again, you have the front side of the stitch facing here and the back side of the stitch facing there, and in that chain space we're going to work a slip stitch, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to work 3 double crochets in that same chain 3 space. 1, 2, 3. Now we have 3 clusters on this row, and so now we're going to skip these 3 double crochets and we're going to go right to the next chain 3 space and do another slip stitch, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to work 3 double crochets in that chain 3 space. Okay, let's pause and take a look at what we should have after 3 rows. Okay, I know this yarn is a little bit fuzzy. I hope that's not preventing you from seeing the stitches. I can actually see them pretty clearly, so I'm hoping that this is not hindering you in any way. The yarn does feel amazing, by the way, which is why I selected it. Now we're going to chain 6 again, because we're going to begin row 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then after that chain 6, find the 4th chain from the hook, and we double crochet in that 4th chain, and then the next 2 chains. I also realized that I may be going a little fast for some of you. If I am, there's a little gear-shaped icon down here. It'll be on this side for the left-handed folks. If you click on that, it'll bring up a playback speed, and you can change it to a slower speed if you're watching from a cell phone. 3 diagonal dots here, be on this side for the left-handers. If you click on that, it will also bring up a playback speed where you can change the speed. Okay, so now, after we've worked that, we're going to again flip this up, and the way you know that you're in the right place is you should see the back side of the stitch facing. We're going to slip stitch. We'll skip these 3 stitches, obviously. Slip stitch in that chain 3 space, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and work 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3, and we're going to do this all the way across this row. Skip these 3 stitches, slip stitch in that chain 3 space, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 3 double crochets in that chain 3 space. 1, 2, 3. And then we do it one more time. Skip the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, slip stitch in this chain 3 space, chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then work 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and now we've completed row 4, which has 4 clusters in that row. Okay, so we're just going to continue this for many rows. We're going to turn, chains, actually don't turn yet, chain 6 first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm just so used to turning at the end of each row. Go ahead and find the 4th chain from the hook, work a double crochet in that chain, and in the next chain, and in the next chain. And now this is where you flip. Go ahead and flip this up so that you see the back side of the stitch facing you. Skip these 3 stitches, slip stitch in that chain 3 space, and then we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then work 3 double crochets in that chain space. So this will be a last row that I work with you for a while. So what I want you to do is continue working this. I'll finish this row. Skip the next 3 stitches, slip stitch in that next space, chain 3, 3 double crochets in that chain 3 space. Skip the next 3 stitches, slip stitch in that next space, chain 3, 3 double crochets in that chain 3 space. And then we skip the next 3 stitches, 1, 2, 3, find that next chain 3 space, work a slip stitch there, chain 3, and 3 more double crochets. 1, 2, 3. So now what you want to do is we are going to continue working these rows diagonally back and forth. And I'll show you how many rows that I have after I finish that part. But just go ahead and repeat that, working it back and forth. And also just know that with each row, you're going to be adding an additional cluster. Okay, I have just completed row number 33. And let's just take a little bit of a look at this. And we started way down there and added many stitches. And we have now 33 rows. Like I said, the measurements along the straight edges of both sides of the blanket are 30 inches. So now if you want to make your blanket larger than 30 inches by 30 inches, you may just continue on in the way we've been doing, adding additional rows. If you have additional yarn left like I do, you can use most of that up before you begin the decreases. But I've decided that I want my blanket to be 30 by 30. That's a good round number and a very good size for a baby blanket. So this is the last row. So what we're going to do now is we are going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we are going to turn this around. Notice we're not chaining 6, we're only chaining 3 because we're not going to be adding, we're actually going to be decreasing. So we're going to just work a slip stitch in that next chain space, chain 3, and then we work our 3 double crochets in that chain 3 space. And we just continue on across the row the way we normally would, and just again noticing that we are not adding additional stitches, additional clusters at the end, but we are going to be decreasing as we go. So go ahead and work that across the row the way we normally would, working that chain 3 and those 3 double crochets in the chain spaces. So I've come to the end of row 34, and again we are working decreases at the end of each row, and I'll just show that to you again for clarity. So I come to the last cluster, that last chain space. We're just going to work a slip stitch right there, and then we're going to turn because we're not going to add any more to that end. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we work a slip stitch right here into that last cluster that we just worked, and you can see the corner forming here, and then we chain 3, 1, 2, 3, and then we work our 3 double crochets, 1, 2, and 3, and again a slip stitch in that next stitch, and we just continue on with the same pattern stitch. But as you can see, the other side, one of your sides here is going to be forming. So if you don't see something like this forming after a couple of rows, then maybe you need to stop and look at this video again. So again, we're closing in this side, and then eventually we'll go all the way until we have a perfect square, or near perfect. Nothing in this world is perfect, we know, but it will resemble the shape of a square. So go ahead and continue working these rows. I'll show you what I have after I work several rows, just to make sure that you understand what it would look like so that you're on track for this baby blanket. I have finished my first cake of yarn, and I just wanted to show you how this is coming out. Okay, so you have the one side of this, and this is the side that we're closing in, and the rows are getting shorter. Okay, and I just finished working all the way across, and then my yarn has simply run out here, and I just wanted to show you the other end. Okay, I'll show you a bigger view, of course, once I complete this, but let me show you how to connect the new skein of yarn, because that's a question that a lot of beginners have, and a lot of us seasoned crocheters just take it for granted that you know how to do this. Now, with the other cake of yarn, I just so happen to have lucked out because the yarn starts with the same color that I left off with. And if that's not the case for you, what you can do is pull off some of the yarn off of that new cake of yarn until you get to the color that you want, and then connect it. You can cut the yarn there and then connect it, and I promise you'll have plenty of yarn to finish this project. Okay, now with knitting projects, a lot of times you're going to want to add the yarn only at the beginning or at the end of the rows. But with crochet, you don't have to worry about that so much because there's so much more fabric from which to hide, the loose strands. So let me show you my technique. There are different techniques out there, but I think mine's pretty simple. I'm going to hold the two strands together like so. And notice I'm going to leave a nice strand up here so that I have some yarn left. Let me show you. And we just tie a knot, just like that. Okay. Now, notice that I left about this much yarn. It's about 5 inches here. So anywhere from 4 to 6 inches, or even a little bit more, is fine to leave over. And the reason that we do that is so that we have enough yarn to thread into this needle at the end, where we will be hiding these loose threads in our work. Okay. So let's go ahead and continue on, and I'll just show you how this works its way out. We're going to work a slip stitch. Let's go ahead and turn. Now we're beginning the next row, chain 3, and then again beginning the next row, slip stitch, and you see the knot coming here. I'm just going to crochet this into my work just like this. Now many people have different ways of doing it. Now I can actually hold that yarn right there and crochet on top of it. I don't really like the way that's looking. So let me go ahead and I'm going to hold off on hiding this until I crochet a little further down the pike here. I'm going to do a couple of these stitches and then I'll show you how to hide this. Slip stitch the next stitch. We're just continuing on in our pattern stitch here. Okay, and let's go ahead and pause a second. And I'm going to go ahead and, instead of waiting till the very end, I'm going to go ahead and show you how you can deal with this. Now you can hide them together, or you can hide them one at a time. I'm going to try doing these together. It's going to be fun threading this into this needle. Let's see if they both went very well. Okay, and another advantage of this real fuzzy yarn is that you can hide just about anything in here, I promise you. Now, with this particular color, what you're going to want to do when you hide these yarns is try to stay under similar colors. Okay, like you wouldn't want to hide this all under white. Although with this yarn, it may hide just fine. Okay, so you see what I just did? I pulled that under there. That knot is hidden forever, I promise you. Okay, so I'm going to come down through here, and I'm going to run it under these 3 stitches. And let's come over here. I'm going to come under these 3 stitches right here. Kind of zigzagging it through. And, that's probably plenty. Let's go ahead and give a little bit of tug back on it. And now this is where you want to be very careful. When you cut close, but don't cut so close that you cut your other stitches there. And that knot, ladies and gentlemen, is forever hidden in our work, or at least I hope it is. It should not pop out, and if it does, you've still got some extra yarn with which you can work with. And so now we just continue on all the way across this row, and then we complete, all of the rows, working our decreases at the beginning as we just did over here. And I'll show you the last row or 2 of this project. I now have 2 rows to complete. So let's go ahead and start this next row, the chain 3, and then we join with a slip stitch. I'll just show you what this looks like, and the 2 edges are closing in now. So we're just going to chain 3 and work those 3 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and then join with a slip stitch again. We only have two clusters in this row, and 3, and then we join with a slip stitch. And you see what we have left, just room for one more square there. So let's go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and we turn, join with the slip stitch, and let's go ahead and chain 3. 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to work 3 stitches. 1, 2, and 3, join with a slip stitch right there, and you can give it a chain and give it a tug and cut your strand and be completely done with this blanket right now. Depending on what you want to do, you can leave it just the way it is. I believe it would be absolutely fine this way. However, many people like to work borders on their blanket, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to work a simple shell border should you want. Again, this is optional. You should have plenty of leftover yarn to do this. Let's go ahead and pull this back a little bit so that that join is not quite so tight. And also, let me also say one thing, that if you do want to stop right here and give it a chain and a tug, I would actually give it an additional chain and a tug and then hide the strand, because this particular yarn does tend to be very slippery, and just one chain may not be quite enough. It could easily come out. So I would, do a couple of chains there and then hide that loose strand very carefully. Okay, so for the shell stitch, we're going to just start right from where we joined, and we're going to work a slip stitch in the first row end, and the next row end we're going to work 7 double crochets. That's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, just like that. In the next row end, we're just going to work a slip stitch, just like that. The next row end, again, 7 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And then in the next row end, a slip stitch, and then we continue that all the way across until you get to the corner. Okay, I'm coming to the corner here, and I've worked my slip stitch in this row, and then in the very last one at the corner, go ahead and work those 7 double crochets. And it's 5, 6, 7. And now right at the top of the stitch here, go ahead and work a slip stitch. Now after that slip stitch, go ahead and work 7 double crochets right in that same row end. 2, 3, 4, 5. Pull up some more yarn. 6 and 7. It may look a little bit different going down this side, but because of the way that the stitches are. So the next row end, we're going to have that slip stitch put right in the center stitch, right there. Slip stitch, and then the next row end, which is right over here, work those 7 double crochets. 4, 5, 6, and 7. And the next row end, again, find that middle stitch, put that slip stitch right there, and then the next stitches, we're working along the edge of that double crochet, work your 7 double crochets. So this is what you're going to do all the way down this side. And let's take a look. Yeah, let's just go ahead and finish this to the corner, and then I'll show you the next corner. Okay, once you get to the next corner, we are just going to work those 7 double crochets in that last chain 3 space. That's 4, 5, 6, and 7. Ooh, static electricity. Now we're going to go ahead and work a slip stitch in that same place as we worked the 7 stitches, double crochets, and then we're going to work, we're going the other direction, we're going to work 7 double crochets in that middle double crochet stitch. And 7, and then we're going to work a slip stitch. Let's move this out of the way. A slip stitch in that next row end right there, and then in the middle cluster here, go ahead and work 7 of those double crochets again. And that's going to be your repeat all the way across the row. It's 5, 6, 7. Let's go ahead and just show you that corner again. So just continue this all the way across the row. And let's see. And then you will also do the corner again the same way, working 7 double crochets in the center double crochet cluster there. Work a slip stitch in the corner here in the turning chain space, and then we're going to also work 7 more double crochets along the chain 3. So again, you'll have 7 stitches here, 7 double crochets in this space here, slip stitch, turn, and then 7 more double crochets to complete that corner. So go ahead and complete both of those sides, and then I will show you the final join. Okay, that brings us to the last corner. I've worked my slip stitch in the row before the last here, and we're going to go ahead and work those 7 double crochets in this chain 3 space. That's 3, 4, and let's see, 5, 6, and 7. And then we're going to work another slip stitch right in that same place. This helps to form that shell. And right in the center of these 3 stitches of the cluster going the other direction, we're going to work 7 more. It's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And here is the first cluster that we made, and we joined with a, well, actually there was a slip stitch right here, so let's just join. You can join with a slip stitch to that slip stitch, just like this. Give it a chain, give it a tug, And remember, like I said, sometimes this yarn is a little bit slippery. I'm going to go ahead and actually give it 2 chains because I'm going to be able to hide this pretty well. And give it a nice generous strand. And we just pull it through like this and give it another tug again. I just want to make sure that this doesn't come out. And with being a baby blanket and all, it'll probably get many, many machine washings. So you want to make sure that they don't, the strings don't pull out. So we're going to thread our yarn needle like this. And it really is a reversible pattern, but I'm going to just pretend that this is the back side for now. And I'm going to bring this down, and I'm going to hide it under the blue. I mean, I could hide it under the green. It probably wouldn't show, but it's always a good idea to hide it under yarn of a similar color. So pull that through. And let's go ahead and do this under the second group of shells. Just, let's see if we can get it. Just like that. That looks good. And there we go. Give it a tug there. I think that's going to be plenty for that strand to be hidden under. And very carefully, like I said before, clip close, but not too close. And there you go. That corner is completed. And our baby blanket is done. I'll go ahead and show you what we have. Well, let's take another look at this fun baby blanket. And I hope you enjoyed making this with me today. If you did, again, please hit that thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I really do appreciate that. Well, God bless. Bye-bye.